Get some mo.
Spread out. Mind your P's and Q's. Don't forget to dot the I's. Certainly.
Larry.
He's got a headache.
No, I don't.
How about now?
Yeah, it's coming on.
And Curly.
Hello.
Hello. Goodbye. Hello. Everybody asks me, I know y'all gonna say, how come you didn't go see the Three Stooges? And I tell people, well, shit, I work with the Three Stooges. I don't have to go see the movie. see the Three Stooges every day.
I know.
Why,
it
you
sucks,
little...
it really does suck, though, knowing that you're about as much of a fan as we all are, that, this was the ultimate judgment day on this movie, So
I know.
This was a big event for us,
I came around.
But you had car trouble.
Well, for you, it is. I was not a Three Stooges fan growing up. You got to remember, I just missed
Quiet
the whole thing.
Because the thing is, there's two kinds of people in this world. There's Three Stooges fans and there's girls.
Yeah, I was about to say. Yeah, see, guys, if you find a girl that even just likes the Three Stooges, just likes one of them.
If she just doesn't hate them.
Marry her.
Marry her.
Now, that might be some terrible sex because she'll be trying to pull Three Stooges moves while y'all are having in relations. But yeah, man, I was watching the trailer for this, and I was saying, this is terrible. Of course, Leon is the one who's always forgiving on these things, even though you always say trailers lie. For some reason, you went easy on this.
Let me explain, because I try to not watch trailers. And even with that, the whole idea of them making a Three Stooges movie, I was against that on principle. I was like, you guys are going to fuck it up. Now you're talking about casting Benicio del Toro and Sean Penn.
Well, yeah, when
they're not even taking this seriously.
When they were talking about doing a biopic, I was like, now that I'd kind of like to see.
But they've done one already.
But then they said, oh, no, we're not. We're just doing a new Three Stooges pick.
So when I finally saw the trailer, I was kind of like, wow, so far this is better than I thought. And what grabbed me was what I saw with those three actors was like, God damn, these guys really did make me feel like I was watching Three Stooges. I mean, I don't know if this movie's going to be good, but they got it down.
Well, Leon,
and some of these gags are kind of funny.
Well, Leon, unlike you, I hated this just hearing about it from the get-go, from the early stages of somebody even mentioning, hey, we might do a Three Stooges movie. I was going, the fuck you are. I was like, do not touch that sacred cow. Leave it the fuck alone. There's plenty of Three Stooges material out there that you could just pop in your DVD, watch it at home, just stay there and shut up and don't bother anybody with trying to recreate that magic that those guys did,
but that sacred cow still had some milk left.
Nah, but I was scared. I was definitely on the fence. I was scared. I was worried. And yeah, we've all been through all the news. I mean, we've talked about it on all our shows, I'm sure. We're hearing about the casting and our opinions on it. But when you realize the movie was really like happening, I was like, oh fuck, the sooner it comes out the better, because we'll just be done with it.
Right.
We'll review the fucking thing and it'll be over and done.
Like a Band-Aid.
Forget about it.
And just think about it. The last time the Three Stooges were done right on the screen was by three fat black men.
Yeah.
The fat boys.
Yeah, the fat boys.
Disorderlies.
Disorderlies was like, I've always said that's like, we don't really need another Three Stooges. We already tried another Three Stooges and nobody cared.
Yeah,
except for me and Corey.
Seriously, if you get three Negroes with an eating disorder getting it right, and you can't get some Jewish guys to do it, then maybe we should leave it alone.
I have less of a problem with someone wanting to do that kind of thing and saying, yes, it's a Three Stooges-esque movie, than the idea that they're saying, we're doing a new movie with these characters that these actors designed and portrayed and made a career out of. It's like someone saying, we're making new Charlie Chaplin films. You can't make new Charlie Chaplin films. Charlie Chaplin is dead.
Yeah.
It's fucking retarded.
It'd be kind of racist, too.
You don't make remakes of people. Right. But all that being said, and like I said, I thought the trailer looked absolutely atrocious, but I hadn't grown up watching these films. But they found three guys who, I didn't even know, like the guy who played Mo, Chris Diamantopoulos. I'd never even heard of him.
Yeah,
Sean Hayes, who plays Larry, of course, is from Will and Grace, which we've all seen. And Will Sasso, who is one of the greatest impressionists alive, plays, even though he can't be in a good movie to save his life.
Well, that's the thing.
Curly.
It's like when Mad TV sucked, which was all except the first season, he was like the one bright spot in that show. Like, his impressions would be like, okay, that guy's good. I wish he was on a better show.
If there were two sketches a year that were like worth seeing, they were both ones that were around him.
Yeah. And Will Sasso is Curly.
they are the backbone that actually kind of sells this thing, because they clearly were not fucking around about playing these parts. They were not fucking around at all.
Yeah,
they rehearsed their asses off to play this.
And I have to admit, like, as soon as I got in that chair, I was sitting down like Mo, just looking at his face, like, you mug, you're doing it wrong. Get over here. Shut up.
He was still there trying to poke the screen.
I know, it's like, I was just there sitting. You're doing that wrong. Oh, what do you think you're doing? And it wasn't until there's a scene where the guys are trying to ride up, get on a bike and hitch a ride to the big city. There's a gag that they pull in there that is so like the core of the Three Stooges that I fucking lost it at the end. I was like, Well, and I was
worried about him.
I'm just shocked that they got Larry Fine right, because I always wondered who in the, because nobody can ever get his voice right. Whenever they try to do an impression.
Billy West has been about it.
Billy West is about it, and he's more like the drunk Larry Fine than anything. That's why I love his. But yeah, it's like I was like, who are they gonna find to look like Larry Fine? He was like his own species.
And that guy that plays the guy that plays Larry Fine, Sean Hayes, he was the one that threw me off the most, and he was the one that made me want to watch the movie. Yeah. If you fuck up Larry, that's the hardest one to get. If you fuck up Larry, you fuck up the Stooges.
Yeah, I know. It's like that guy needs an Oscar, because I never thought anybody could play Larry Fine, and he did it.
Whoa,
he really did.
Let's not start talking Oscars.
Hey,
I said that about these guys.
Because the thing is,
Oscars. Usually when you have something like this, you got three guys doing impressions. You usually have one who's like, well, this guy's really, really good, and these two guys are good, or these two guys are really good, and that guy, he's all right. All three of them were just like 100%.
Yeah, Mo was great. There's times when Mo was talking where it
thought it really was
like
him.
Mo Howard.
Yeah. And Will Sasso's always had Curly down. I mean, that guy was born.
Curly's not too hard.
Curly.
I mean, Curly's the one guy that everyone could.
Everybody does
all
Curly,
the voices, you're going to get his right sometimes.
But it would have been real easy to overdo Curly, and he knew
you sound like
where to pull
you
back.
end up sounding like Jabberjocks.
Yeah.
Hey, quit horsing around, you two. You're disturbing my coffee break.
Oh, boy, donuts. Where's mine? They're small. Why don't you have two? Okay. Oh, now look what you did, Mo. You got donuts stuck in my ears.
Hey, you're in luck. I got a donut remover right here.
What's a donut remover?
It's one of these. Donut remover.
Huh. What are the odds of that?
Hey, Mugwumps! Mother Superior's looking for you!
Yeah, let me get him. Uh-oh.
Is that Sister Mary Mangala?
I don't know, but the face rings a bell.
Well, here's the thing with this movie. First of all, you have the Three Stooges. It's good to get an impression down. We've seen people do Three Stooges impressions in short bits.
Sure.
The Three Stooges worked in shorts.
Yeah.
We had three guys who worked on vaudeville. And I guess more Stooges came in later, if you count Shemp Howard and all those guys.
Yeah,
but
Curly
wasn't
Joe.
original.
Curly Joe's not so high and all that kind of stuff.
Don't count those.
But we're talking about the true Stooges. We've seen these impressions done over and over again. They worked in the short medium. When they did try to expand, even they didn't succeed at it. So now you have a Three Stooges movie that's directed. My point number 2 with this, I always mess this up. Farrelly Brothers.
Oh, you got it! Oh my God! You did it!
Yes! You talk about how they rehearsed to be the Stooges. I rehearsed that fucking name. I didn't fuck around with that name.
I probably should have checked the confetti machine, because
I was waiting.
Sorry.
This is a new day, Corey. You have never pronounced that name correctly.
Well, hooked on phonics really works, man.
I wish I had a balloon to throw in your face.
I know.
Or pie. But those guys are directing this film, so they haven't had a hit in a while either.
No.
Right.
No.
And let's also take into account that the Farrelly brothers, they worked in a very harsh R area. Seldom did they wander out of that raunchy comedy. But this is a PG movie, which kind of says that this Stooges film is a family film.
It really is. It is catered to kids, and you get that from the get go, which I was actually really surprised by. I didn't know it was going to be a straight up kids movie.
I didn't either. I was worried where they would go with it, because in the trailer, the part that turns everybody off is where you see the people from Jersey Shore, and you're like, all right, they're going to modernize it and probably put a bunch of that fairly raunch humor in it that they can't even pull off themselves anymore. But it starts out with them as little kids in an orphanage. And I got to be honest, the way it began, I was like, shit, I'm in trouble. As much as I've been defending this trailer, this is starting out terrible. I'm like, my stomach was churning. I was like, fuck.
With them as little kids,
yeah.
it's like, oh no.
And I kept on looking over at him, wanting to slap the shit
I
out of
know.
him.
That's the thing. If you had been sitting next to me, you would have saw me with my hand in between my eyes because I thought for sure he was going to turn around and try to poke me.
He's sinking lower into his seat.
I was just spinning around on the floor.
But the minute they go like, okay, 25 years later, and they bring in the adult guys as Stooges, right off the bat, they really captured, like, we give them the credit, the actors, 3 actors. But it took everybody on that production who really studied what made the Stooges work, the timing of the gags, the type of gags to use. I mean, they were using a lot of the classic gags. Some of my favorite gags I thought were kind of obscure, just from the very beginning, once the adults get on there. And there was so much of it, like, I wasn't just, not only was I laughing at them, but I was just appreciating them so much to where I felt like I was 8 years old again watching this.
And that's what I really appreciated about it, because I mean, there are three parts of this movie, and they all start out with the Three Stooges card, not the original one, not the black and white ones they used to, but they do their own modern version of the Three Stooges card, giving you the title of it's like the mini episode you're about to watch.
Yeah.
So when you see the stage of them as little kids, you see the title card with the 3 heads where they go, hello, hello. And I guess for every new phase in their life, you see that.
Exactly.
That's cool.
And they do that.
Each third of a film, as most films are divided up into, they act as if it's each as a short film.
Right.
And they do all have their own little miniature arc, even though they all tie into one much bigger story. But, I want to come back to something you guys said, which is about the fact that it is indeed a PG film. It is indeed a film for kids. And that is why precisely that it does, in fact, work as much as it does, because it's its charm in and of itself. It's this innocent sort of almost purity to the slapstick that's going on inside of it, that they don't do that. I mean, about the farthest they go away from what feels like something the Stooges might actually do that looked terrible in the trailer I saw was when there was a thing with a bunch of little infants pissing on them. I was like, here we go. But then they found a way to even make that kind of work, where it was like turned it into like a Western where they had like all holding up infants to pee at each other.
And I love that they get that across, the whole, feeling of innocence, because, the movies revolved around them trying to save their orphanage.
Right.
So they introduce these little kids and you realize, okay, this isn't going to be the raunchy kind of modernized Three Stooges that I thought the Farrelly guys would end up doing.
There's actually a little sequence right as the credits start where they bring in the Farrelly brothers who
it's
go
at the very end.
At the very end, where they go, hey kids, just so you know, these hammers are just made of styrofoam, and they hit each other with hammers and sledgehammers and go, you see, and here's how they do the eye poke thing, and they show in slow motion. And it's for real. It's like, we're waiting for it to run into a joke. And no, they honestly are going, this is a kid's film and we don't want kids watching this and trying to do this at home. And at first I'm kind of irritated, and then I'm like, that actually kind of took a lot of bravery to come on.
It's a responsible thing to do.
Kids will just use guns today. They don't have to worry about that.
Because all I could thought was like, wow, this really is the pussification of America right now. I was like, they didn't need to tell nobody that back in 1930.
No, it's the not want to be sued of them.
They actually went to school back then.
It actually became kind of endearing because I was like, I'm the proud owner of the Three Stooges Nintendo game. And watching that, I'm like, wow, did they just pick up the storyline of that game where, they're going to try to save the kids, so they have to go out and get jobs to work for the money. And what was great about it is that at the beginning, they do get into situations that you remember them getting into in the TV shows. Like, because I think I mentioned it to you guys where I was like, if that movie's going to work, they have to like pull out those situations for them to have a goal to where they're like in a hospital, they're doing shit in a hospital, they're working their way up.
There's a fancy party where like, oh, are you the 3 men I sent for? Great. Come in here right now.
Exactly.
Certainly, lady. Get to work, you mugs.
There's somebody who there's an evil villainous lady who's actually played here by Sofia Vergara, who wants to use them without them knowing to in order to kill her husband so she and her boyfriend can get money, and she hires the Three Stooges to help her with this job.
And is somebody trying to take over the orphanage too?
No.
It's shutting down.
It's shutting down.
They need money to save it.
Yeah, they're out in the world trying, they're walking around with a sign saying, we'll work for $830,000.
I mean, come on, man. It's a Three Stooges movie where you got Larry on the sidewalk wearing a sandwich board. You get that in there. You got it right.
All the classic Stooge stuff.
It really is the classic stuff. Like even Craig Bierko, who plays like her her boyfriend, he is so like that guy who was in all those Three Stooges movies, who was always trying to get them, and yet they would end up fucking him up.
And that's what they always did in the Three Stooges shorts too. They always had some attractive woman who had a dashing boyfriend, and they would always try to get these dumbasses to do the dirty work for them.
Exactly.
So that's
And
cool.
I enjoyed one of the other foils as well, though, which was the nun Mary, was it Mengele, played by Larry David.
Oh, yeah.
It was like, at first I was like, who is that? Holy shit, that's Larry David. And he just gets the shit kicked out.
All I thought about is like, you know what? If Larry David, out of all people, is involved with this, maybe I should cut a little bit of slack. You know, I felt like he stepped in just to go, hey, you asshole in the front row, it's going to be okay, all right?
Well, the funny thing is, like on that Saturday Night Live ripoff show Fridays that him and Michael Richards used to be on, they used to do this skit, this recurring skit with the Three Stooges, and he played Larry in those skits.
Larry David did?
Yeah, he played Larry, and they would always, like, the Three Stooges, they get in a classic scenario, but at some point cocaine would come out, and they would all get just snort a bunch of cocaine and go nuts. Yeah. And then we should run this, you know, like almost every other episode. And I laugh.
That explains everything about the Three Stooges. They're
Well,
a bunch of coke addicts.
It explains everything about Larry. Right. Larry looked like he was on the biggest cocaine binge of his life, and it blew up the front part of his head.
Like he knocked his hairline back. He did so much coke.
If I could address the number one thing people seem to be concerned about is that they watch this trailer and they see this fucking irritating ass Jersey Shore people, and they're like, fuck you,
Right.
Three Stooges movie. Let me tell you this right now. This is about showing that those guys are even dumber than the Three Stooges.
It really is. I mean,
You get to see them get their asses kicked by Mo repeatedly.
Yeah,
and
because
it's well worth it.
Mo becomes part of the show, which I'm like, you can't help but cringe when you see them getting introduced. Where you realize it's not one cast member, it's the entire cast of the Jersey Shore. But I was like, wow, this is kind of an ingenious way of really slapping the shit out of all those characters. That's all. There's a scene where Mo is just going fucking he's just unleashing. He goes to town and he unleashes on them. Where I'm like, wow, you know what? All those characters on that show are pretty much Larry and Curly.
Wow, it took the Three Stooges to show us how much of Stooges the Jersey Shore people are.
Pretty much.
It's like somebody getting. It really is like somebody getting chocolate and peanut butter together for the first time. It's like, wow, this makes so much sense, and I feel like an idiot for not realizing.
This is great, man. Now you saw me on the movie, seeing the Jersey Shore people getting the shit slapped out of it. There was a lot of reasons why I was down on this movie, not just by the trailers. I'm surprised that some of the people that they even have in this movie here that they don't mention. They show the Jersey Shore people, but Jane Lynch and Jennifer Hudson, in addition to somebody like Larry David, I thought
they're all in the very beginning, and then you don't see them for a long time.
Jennifer Hudson's kind of crowbarred in there.
Yeah.
If I was irritated with anything, it was like they even found an opportunity to get her to sing for a second. You're like, really?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, when I saw Sofia Vergara on there, I was like, "Oh, Corey's gonna hate this." I know how much you love her singing voice.
Well, I would hope that Mo would slap the shit out of her or something. Slap her one for me, Mo. But I was more wrapped up in the casting that they had before, and I think I was really stuck on that because they had, I hate to say it, I guess more recognizable A-list stars for that movie. If you remember, because they were going to get Sean Penn to play Larry, and they were going to get
Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey as Mo, who gained.
No, it's Curly.
I mean, I'm sorry. Did I say Mo?
Yeah.
He gained the weight to be Curly.
Benicio del Toro was going to be Mo.
That one was a little weird one, but
yes, kind of weird.
And I was mad at Jim Carrey, who was going to be Curly, because he dropped out after gaining 60, 70 pounds.
40 pounds.
Was it 40 pounds?
Yeah,
40 pounds.
40 pounds?
Yeah, because he was scared about his health.
Yeah. You know, Christian Bale would have called him a fucking pussy.
No, he is a pussy. You know, Robert De Niro's looking at him right now and saying, "You're not a man. You're a pussy. You're a pussy. I gained 400 pounds for Raging Bull."
They gave you a chance to be Curly, and you blew it.
You chowderhead.
I gain and lose the same 40 pounds once a week. Pizza buffet night.
I wasn't going to say anything. Yeah, why didn't they cast you, man?
I know, right? There'd been no problem. It's like, shit, I can blow it up.
You would have made a great Curly.
Yeah. Or they could have done, are the ones, I wanted to see them do something different. If you think about it, you can cast the whole cast of Three Stooges with lesbians and have it be convincing.
Okay.
I'm not trying to be mean.
Because Jane Lynch is in this? Is that where we
No, I'm thinking more like Lily Tomlin as Mo. Picture her with that wig.
I don't know, dude.
See,
You
I
lost me.
could see Ellen DeGeneres
As Larry.
No, I could see her more like Mo than I can.
Really?
I thought she always made a great Larry myself.
Yeah.
I think this is an unnecessary direction for them to go with the three Stooges.
Oh, man. Yeah, they almost cast Johnny Knoxville and Andy Samberg in those roles.
That would have worked.
I don't think so.
no.
Johnny Knoxville's an awful actor.
You know, the thing with the three, Benicio and Jim Carrey. I mean, the thing is, we know who they are.
Right.
It's not. They're not going to sell us on it because all we're going to be going is like, oh man, Benicio del Toro is really creepy as Mo. I don't know.
You know what? That is true. Having these guys do that, Sean Hayes and Will Sasso, you know, those are people who, outside of Sean Hayes, others are not as recognizable as big stars like Sean Penn and those other guys.
And they did, like you said, they did such a good job. Why even bother thinking about somebody else playing these roles?
Exactly.
Yeah, I have to give them credit where credit is due. There were moments on there where, in watching that movie, where I really did feel like, wow, you know, those guys, not only did they capture just, you know, what the Three Stooges are about, but they captured really like the heart of what those guys were. I even like the little small moments where, you know, there were intimate moments where you can tell like those guys really loved each other. You know, they were a family, and I'm glad they got that across instead of like them making them just like the Three Stooges, the caricatures that you're so used to seeing everywhere else. Like they give them some depth with those characters, and I was like, wow. There's a moment where I almost wanted to cry in this movie. You know?
Well, the funny thing is, like the Three Stooges themselves never made good movies. Like all their best shorts was their early stuff, and it wasn't until somebody got them back together to make those movies, and by that time, you know, it's Curly Joe Dorita, and it's like, oh,
those were dark. Those were the dark days.
times.
Yeah.
But this is an actual, genuine, funny, you know, animated Three Stooges movie, and there's a point in the middle where they all get to slapping each other, just going at it at violence. Like it's like one long take. And just like the choreography that had to go into it, how many times they would have to practice to get it just dead on. It was like a ballet. I just wanted to stand up and clap. I was like, wow, bravo, you guys.
And they used the same exact Foley, the sound effects, the Foley, like they incorporated all that. So I was a little curious. I was like, are they just doing that for the trailer? Maybe it'll be a little
in
bit
a lesser
more
film, or not even lesser film, in a different film, you would have been like, really? You're using these old school things? But the fact that it's a Three Stooges, you should. I mean, there's even a sequence where a guy like steps on Sofia Vergara's boob and it goes boing, bong.
Do they use my favorite sound effect, which is the bloop? They poke somebody in the eye. Come on.
Oh,
of
yeah,
course.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
the coconuts cracking together or something?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Even when like there's a lot of nostril hairs getting pulled in this movie too. Where you hear that.
They did that back in the day.
They do a lot of that. But you know what? They also do the speeding up of the film too, which I was like,
well, there's a really
which I was
funny
surprised.
bit that's like based on, you know, primitive film stuff, which is like, you know, they have to have something that obviously they couldn't do with humans, so they use dummies, and they're so clearly dummies, and yet they flawlessly CG them into the landing.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's a moment where they actually did pull, like, I think there was one scene where it seemed like they did some kind of CG stuff, but then there was another scene where they actually, like, pulled the Three Stooges, Benny Hill, like, just threw the dummies down, and then they, like, cut the film.
Oh, my God.
See, I'm glad he mentioned it, but when he was talking, I was like, I got to tell Corey that they used the dummies.
I miss those days. I was talking the other day to somebody how I said, be damned with all the CG and special effects and stuntman we have. I miss the days when you could throw a dummy off of a bridge and pass that off as a stunt, as a movie. I've seen people do that in dramas, and I love it. I still love it.
It always gets a fucking big laugh from me. But, you know, I know we're all, like, really, like, just surprised how like, just decent this movie was, even though I have to admit I did have a complaint. Well,
that's what I want to hear. What are the complaints?
The last part of the movie seemed like they were really trying to find a way to wrap it up. I mean, it felt a little like just too conventional, where I was like, you know, I was loving the movie because of the fact that they were actually using scenarios from the original shorts that you're all familiar with, but they made it their own. You know, they made it flow into the storyline without, you know, it like just being so blatantly in your face, to where they lost that at the last part, because I know it felt like, okay, now it seems like they just need to wrap this up because we need this film to end. And, you know, and the thing is, like, it did feel a bit short, because as soon as you see the card for the final, you know, the finale or whatever, it says on the card, you're kind of bummed out, because you're just like, oh, you know, I'm actually really enjoying this, but now it seems like you're already wrapping up a little too soon. Even though maybe that's a good thing, but watching it, I did feel like it's so conventional. I wish they would have stuck with playing with the scenarios from the shorts. Because I was wanting them to go into the goddamn haunted house. And have a skeletons chasing him around, or getting a balloon stuck in the back of Curly's head.
Oh, the guy the guy that dresses up like the devil.
Yeah, the guy dressed up as the devil, the guy in the night outfit. I mean, the parrot in the night in the
skull.
The skull. I wanted them to go through all those scenarios, but at the end, I was like, okay, you guys need the rest.
I want the Hanna-Barbera version where the Three Stooges are robots.
The Demonic Stooges?
Yes, do you remember that?
Yeah. That was after it was over.
Yeah.
Come on.
Oh, the other complaint, though, too, is I was actually, I was really surprised that they used, in the Three Stooges' earlier career, before Curly joined them, because originally it was Shemp, Larry, and Moe. They actually had a fourth guy who was the straight guy, and that was
Iggy Pop?
No. That was I want to say his name was Ted Healy.
Yeah, that's right,
Ted Healy. And in this movie, they do introduce a character who's an orphan, and his name is Teddy. They call him Teddy. So I was like surprised. I was like, wow, they remembered to include Teddy, the original straight guy with the Three Stooges. But knowing that, I was kind of disappointed that, I know it's just me nitpicking.
You know
I'm nitpicking.
At this point.
I was disappointed that they didn't give any kind of like cameo by Shemp. I was really looking forward to see Shemp pop up somewhere.
You gotta save something for the sequel.
Somewhere.
At least a fake Shemp. Come on.
Well, what about you guys? Do you have any complaints?
Craig Bierko was more the Ted Healy part.
You got any complaints?
Sure, I got some complaints. Like I said, the way it started, I was not so with it. And most of the kid actors in it, they're just kind of cloying. They're not that good. Like the more it was focused on the poor orphans, I was like, get off this, get away from that. But once halfway through the first act, but really the second act is just pure gold. I got no complaints with that at all. That was where they were just kind of blowing my mind with how good they made it.
Right.
And you get to the third act, it's halfway, so that last half of the third act, Coast is right. It is kind of like leading, it's like, okay, we got to come back to what the original story was and wrap that up. Now I don't feel like, I didn't feel like it shorted me, because I'm like, you know what? You watch those Three Stooges shorts, they're like 6 minutes long. So the idea that you're pushing it to 92 minutes, that's a lot to begin with. It'd be easy to get tired of it. I'd rather it cut off too soon than wear out its welcome and go too late. But that's the only real complaint I had on it. I mean, to me, it's the kind of movie where I feel like if you're a Three Stooges fan, you can't help but love it. And if you're not, I don't know, it might not. This won't convince you, I don't think.
I think everything we said is turning people off.
I'm not a Three Stooges fan, as I said, and not because I dislike them. It was just lack of exposure. I mean, I grew up and I watched whatever my parents watched, and they liked the Marx Brothers and Abbott and Costello.
Sure.
So that's what I grew up with. It wasn't until I was an adult I finally saw the Stooges and went, slapstick, not as much my thing. But so watching this anyway, I know enough about them to recognize all the tics and the tropes, probably more so from watching other people do Three Stooges impressions.
Right.
But I ended up getting kind of won over by all this. I mean, at first I'm like, okay, it's just slapstick gets old so fast for me. And this is the same stuff you see other people do terribly in other movies. But there was a sort of devotion by these three leads that was kind of infectious. And by the time we got to the halfway point of the film, I was more or less with it. I was like, okay, I'm actually laughing out loud at several points here at just the goofiness of the slapstick and even the choreography. I mean, there's one sequence where they just kind of launch into each other for like 30 seconds straight, and you're just kind of jaw dropped going, Jesus Christ.
See, I thought you liked it because Larry kept doing puns, and my favorite part was Mo going, "Oh, another pun, eh?"
I thought I told you, no more puns.
Did you guys learn anything from that?
Well, we just got to take a lobster and shove down his pants.
Yeah, exactly.
No more shellfish in this house.
Hey, you not being a Three Stooges fan, what are your complaints about this?
Well, just that, I mean, once again, it did occasionally make me laugh, but it is very juvenile humor, to be sure. I mean, duh.
Yeah.
And I can only take but so much of that. So there were points it was just, all right, enough already. This is the sort of thing would have been hysterical for 30 minutes with just the best parts. But, an hour and a half was just too much for me. Like, okay, let's move this along.
He's a victim of circumstance.
It manages to win you back enough times. I was never truly bored by it, but ultimately my biggest complaint is it's just not my type of thing. I can't think of anything directly to criticize the film for, though. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. And I think I'm not shocked to hear that actual Three Stooges fans ate it up. I don't want to see another Three Stooges movie. It would be pushing it. But I would like to see them, the same company, go, hey, let's make another short and put it in front of another
like if
movie.
they put some shorts on the DVD.
I would be very welcoming as long as they stuck with these actors.
All right, what would you give it then?
I'm going to give it a low matinee, actually.
Okay.
I mean, it's certainly in some amount of reflection of that, but I go, it's just, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just not really my type of movie.
All right.
Yeah, and in the vein of like, hey, like I said, I'm surprised that that Cyrus took to it the way he did. But like I said, he wasn't somebody who hated it.
But you as a lover,
as a lover of Three Stooges, I am so, like I said, I thought I might give it a high matinee, but when I think back, man, it really did it took me back in time. I was just like laughing. Like I was trying not to laugh at first. I'm like, shit, I know this is stupid and I don't want to catch shit. But after a while, I'm like, man, fuck everybody in this audience. I am having a great time.
You guys were going through the entire movie, more or less. I was like, I remember you telling me, I was afraid you'd be mad at me because I kept laughing constantly.
And you're like, I was mad at you. Well, if you're sitting there hating something and your buddies are laughing, like at Adam Sandler doing fucking voices on my mom.
Quiet you.
But yeah, just the love and the skill that went into it, and the fact that there are layers of subtlety in, like, the last thing you expect some subtlety in is a Three Stooges film, and yet it's there. There's a finesse to it. So I give it a low full price.
Okay.
I mean, as being such a hardcore and devoted fan, and just like, the Three Stooges are practically my family. I mean, just watching all those. So,
yes, they are. You're sitting around them right now.
Yes, and like I said, like as soon as I got mad when the 20th Century Fox logo came on, and I was like, what? I was like, you're doing it wrong, because I was like, it's supposed to be Columbia. Everybody knows that.
Yeah,
like,
that is true.
Who's in charge here?
I hate to tell you.
Yeah, I know. So I was even irritated at that. But like I said,
wow, the ultimate nitpick.
You got your cue cards wrong. But the thing is that once the guys hit the screen, I mean, they really sold me on the idea that these guys, what do they say, that imitation is the best,
sincerest form of flattery.
The sincerest form of flattery, and this is definitely one of those cases, where I really felt like they weren't really trying to do something new and zany or modernize it, because even those kids at the beginning were dressed up like they were in the 30s,
right?
And they didn't even explain it at all. Like, and that's what I loved about it. I was like, they kept the Three Stooges in their purest form, and they actually made a really decent movie. And this is one of those things where I'm really like bent on like either a full price or matinee. As many like small problems I have with the movie, I can't help but reflect on it, thinking it is a full price. But I am going to give it a matinee, because I remember sitting there, I was like, if I paid matinee price, this is just a perfect movie for a matinee price. I mean, it's not. I can always go back and watch those Three Stooges and just realize, what, that movie was good, but these guys still did it better over here.
Yeah. So
I'm just gonna give it a matinee, even though I had a really fun time with it.
That is a relief to hear. That is truly a relief to hear, and I'm glad that they actually did take the family approach. It makes it sound like that's the right way to do it. You talking about fucking up the Three Stooges? I would have been the one to fuck it up, because I would have cast Quentin Tarantino to direct the Three Stooges.
Why would you have done that?
So you could see the real effects of what the violence is like when they poke each other in the eyes.
The Three Stooges.
Hiya, Snook. I got your present.
Really?
Yeah, go on, open it.
Ow!